Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to this special episode, this special show or video that I'm going to be doing for you guys. I've been thinking about doing more of these recordings or more videos to reach out to you, our audience, and give you updates about what we're doing, what we're thinking between our streams. And I really had a hard time fitting in time. When will I be doing these videos? But then the idea came to me that I could do them while I'm driving. Because, man, I have to drive a lot. I have to drive a lot every single day. And, this is just something I could do during those drives. So, yeah, here we go. We are probably going to be streaming this weekend. My hope is it's going to be tomorrow, which is Saturday, because tonight I am busy. So this is barring anything that goes wrong. If our schedule changes, it might change, and we might not be able to stream this weekend. But Saturday is the tentative potential day that we might be streaming. And currently we are still on Deliverance. So our characters are there while we investigate our old deeds. I've been having a lot of fun in my spare time on Deliverance doing the archaeology thing. I found a nice little spot. There's a ton of areas on the north coast of Deliverance where you can find a lot of deeds that have fallen. There's some areas that even have like 6, 7, 8, 9 deeds that have fallen, and it's just a perfect area. I'm having tons of fun exploring the area, remembering all the old stomping grounds that we used to play around in, and yeah, doing the archaeology thing. But we are wrapping that up. We are getting to the end of our Deliverance trip, and so I'm not sure exactly what we're going to be doing on the stream, but potentially we will be heading back to Xanadu. That's definitely one thing we need to do, and what better time to do it than the stream. I have somebody in front of me who's deciding that they don't want to move, but okay. So also, I kind of wanted to let you guys know a bit about what's been happening on our end, administration-wise. We're trying to really gear up this season and work our way up towards doing something for the show and getting the show all organized. Up to this point, we've been doing what we're calling informal streams. So we turn the on switch with nothing really planned other than a few notes and just like ramble with we don't even have segments this season compared to last season. I don't know if you've noticed, but the way that the videos have been going is just off the cuff. We're sort of just playing, and maybe you guys like it that way better. I don't know. You should let us know whether or not this is what we should be continuing to do. Because one thing I definitely want to start doing is start putting in some of the old segments that we used to have. One segment being the question-answer segment, where we take questions from the YouTube comments, take questions from all over the place. And so please leave your comments, questions about the show, and we can get to those in the stream. Now, another thing that we've been thinking about doing after we get back, because really, actually, let me start by saying that our plans for the season are still completely up in the air. We have no idea what we want to do. I've had so many people ask us, what is your next big plans? What's your next big project going to be? And to be honest, it's like we just finished the Labyrinth, and we're in that phase where if you've experienced that before, where you've just finished a big project, there's always this like feeling afterwards of you're not quite ready to start the next thing. It's sort of like a burnt out kind of feeling, but not quite. We're definitely so getting back into the game and are loving it. But truly, what we're going to be doing next is totally, we have no idea. And we wanted to get feedback from you guys, our audience, to know what you guys want us to do. I posed this question to other people, and it's hard. I haven't really gotten that much of a response back. So maybe you guys can give us a response back about what you want to see on our show. there's a couple ideas floating around. One idea is to, I've acquired a deed right in front of our Factional Fight Village, because the Factional Fight Village is sitting in a location that's not on the coast. It's about 1 deed length away from the coast. I put it right behind another deed that was on the coast, and since then I've acquired that deed, so the person who owned it sold it to me. So one idea is to take that spot, which is quite undeveloped, and just develop it and make a nice little quaint village, practice our decorating skills, practice, make a very efficient, nice little village that's not grandiose or anything like that. And we can talk while we're doing that about how to optimize the flow of the village so that the materials that you need are near all the stations that you're having, and we can talk about storage solutions and things like that. That's one idea. One thing that I definitely want to do, and this is something that's going to something that I'm going to be doing on my spare time, if not on the show, and that is I want to create a boat mine entrance from that coastal deed into the Factional Fight Village and connect it to Brian's basement house, that big house that goes deep into the ground. I'm not sure how big of a project that is, probably a little bit too big, but it's one thing that is on my mind. Of course, we could always go off and do other things, like make a really big new project, although I have no idea what that's going to be. So we want your input. What do you want us to do next? So yeah, there's that. Another thing that I've been looking at is we just got Twitch affiliate not too long ago, and we had no idea what that meant. Once we got it, people were cheering and subscribing, and we had no idea what was going on. So since then, I looked into it, I looked into the numbers and tried to figure out exactly how it works. And it turns out that every time that you cheer or subscribe, you're essentially donating money to us, which is amazing. And the fact that people are willing to donate money to us is amazing. We love it. It motivates us so much to continue making these videos as best as we possibly can, and it funds a lot of the things that we're going to be doing in the game. So thank you so much. We appreciate every support that you give us. We also appreciate comments and you hitting likes and subscribes and all those things on our YouTube channel. This all helps our channel grow, and without growing, I think that it would be a lot less motivating. Now, I have looked into the numbers, and last season we opened up our Patreon account where people were subscribing to our Patreon, becoming our patrons. And this was another way to support the show financially by pledging a certain amount of money that you would like to, donate to the show, and that was working great. We had quite a few people, become our patrons, and we had a whole community there where people were leaving comments and we were having discussions there. We left a couple of videos that were patron only, and I'd like to start that up again. And comparing Twitch to Patreon, it seems as though Twitch takes a lot of money. Amazon is making a boatload of money off of this. So if you give us a $5 subscription, Amazon takes half of that. So they get $2.50 and we get $2.50, which I understand Amazon needs its cut, but that's a pretty steep cut. Patreon, on the other hand, they take 5% of what you donate to us. So there's a huge difference there. So if you pledge us $5 on Patreon, then they take 25 cents and we get the rest. So there's a big difference. So our preference, I think, would be Patreon. One thing that's great about Twitch is that we can set it up so that all those notifications that usually happen when somebody subscribes to you, that can happen as well if somebody subscribes to us on Patreon. We had somebody resub their Patreon account on the last stream, and it popped up on the screen just like a subscription would. So I love that. I think it's great that we can integrate that all together. So there's my thoughts on that. Another thing that's really on my mind, and this is, me just rambling away, but this has been on my mind because I watched Emu's stream, I guess Bloody Drongo's stream on Wednesday, and he had Retrograde and Dusk join him on the show. And man, it was great because this is the first time that we got to hear from Dusk. He's posted on the forums, but this is the first time we've heard his voice, and man, was he great. Just so great at answering the questions, so articulate, so concise, and easy to understand. And he answered in, as elegantly as you could imagine anybody wanting a developer to be able to explain what's going on behind the scenes. So that gives me so much hope for the future of Wurm. So I'm great to see him as an addition to the team. And they talked a lot about the priest stuff that's coming and gave a lot of reveals. So I'm very excited to talk about this. One topic that I'm definitely going to bring up on our stream, but I thought I'd just shoot off what I'm thinking about right here, is about shattering. The Shatter conversation that's been going on the forums regarding the priest update. So people are concerned about how the shatter mechanic works and are asking for it to be changed. Now in Wurm, this is sort of like the way that things do get changed, is there's a community outcry, and then the developers respond by trying to address that outcry. And currently the developers' stance on shattering is that when you're casting on items, they want there to be a chance for the item to shatter, right? They want there to be a balance between risk versus reward. They don't want just rewards, right? So when you're enchanting, they don't want it so that you will always 100% get the greatest cast that you ever got. They want there to be some risk. And so currently the way that the risk works is that there's a small chance to shatter the item. Of course, your channeling will affect this. So the higher your channeling is, the less chance that you have to shatter the item. However, no matter how high your channeling is, there is always a chance that it can shatter. There's never zero. And we are told exactly what that chance is. If your channeling is perfect, then the chances of it shattering is 1 in 100 fails. Now a fail means that you tried to cast on it and it didn't land a cast at all. Okay, it's not like you didn't improve it. Like let's say there's a 30 WA on this thing and I cast it and it says you failed to improve the power. Well, that just means you got a 20. That's not a fail. But if, let's say, you cast on that 30 and it says, you almost damaged it, or you do damage it. Those are two possibilities. Those are both failures. That means you rolled like less than a 0 or something like that on the random number generator. And when that happens, after that, there is a chance that it fails. Now, so not fails, there's a chance that it shatters. So on any given failure, there's a 1% chance that it will shatter. Now this does seem like a small number. It does seem like a small number. However, for anybody who knows or has a priest, a high level priest, they know that you fail still pretty often. It's not, it's not that often, but my priest, who's not quite 95 channeling, like 94.5 or so, you'll see a fail maybe 1 in 10 to 1 in 20 casts. Like, it happens. It happens on a regular basis. So, if you do the math, let's suppose that I want to get a really high 90 plus cast on my rare pickaxe, and I've imped my pickaxe up and everything, so it's ready to be casted on, and I start casting. Okay. Now in order to get a 90, I probably estimate that I will need maybe a couple hundred casts. And there's a chance that even after doing a couple hundred casts, I still don't get a 90. That happens regularly. But if I cast a couple hundred times, I'm probably going to get a 90. Now, you'll hear other people say things such as, like, I get a 90 every 1 in 8 casts. Okay, that's just pure nonsense. There's no way that you get a 90 every 8 casts. There's no way. Now, it's possible that I get a 90 and then 8 casts later I get another 90. That's possible. But it's not going to be consistently like that. It's going to be more like you get a cast and then you get another 90 cast 8 casts later and you're like, wow, that was amazing, and then you're going to not get another 90 for another 100 casts or whatever. It's like insane. So let's just say that you do a couple hundred casts. Now, of those casts, you might fail 10 times, maybe 10. In 200 casts, you might fail 10 times. Okay. Each one of those times is a 1% chance that it's going to shatter. So you add those all up. That means over the course of the casting to 90, you have a 10% chance that it's going to go. That means if I do this for 10 pickaxes, one of them's gone. Now, yeah, sure, that doesn't seem all that much either, but here's the thing. Sure, it's not that often. It's not going to happen very often. But when it does, it is so devastating. It is so devastating. So there was 1 month I was casting away. I was doing orders, so these weren't my items. And I got an order for somebody wanted me to put WOA and COC, both 90 plus, onto a pickaxe. And of course, after maybe hundreds of casts for both, it shattered. Now, I went into that deal telling him that, you know, you have to acknowledge that there's a chance that it shatters, and if it shatters, then it's not on me, yada yada. He agreed completely, but it shattered, and I felt horrible, so horrible that it shattered. And, you know, at that point, I was like I was disappointed, not only because I'd not, like, you know, I shattered his pickaxe. That's just horrible. And I kind of didn't want to take any more orders after that. I kind of was like down on it, but I kept taking orders, even though I didn't feel like, you know, I felt really bad about it. The next rare that came in also shattered it. I haven't taken any orders since. I actually don't even want to cast anymore. Like, it made me so down about it. It was just such a disappointment that it makes me feel as though it's not even worth it anymore. So I stopped. I stopped paying premium on my priest. I even considered selling my priest because I was just like, I almost was just done with it. So I think the argument isn't that there shouldn't be a risk. I don't think people are saying there shouldn't be a risk of shatter, because there should be a risk of something. It should be risk versus reward. I think the argument is that the way that the shatter mechanic works now, it almost feels like nothing you can do, there's nothing you can do to prevent it from happening. It's going to happen decently often enough if you're casting often enough, and when it does, it totally discourages you from playing the game, which means that you're going to find less people playing after these shatters happen. So I guess what people are trying to express is that, sure, there should be risk versus reward, but the risk shouldn't dissuade me from playing the game at all, or stop enjoying the thing that, you know, you love doing. So having said all that, that's what I think people are saying. I know the devs aren't quite understanding that. The devs' response is there should be a risk versus reward, that there is ways to protect your stuff from being shattered. Metallic liquid is an item that you can get, that you can put onto an item to prevent decay, prevent shattering. Currently, though, to obtain metallic liquid, they're so rare. So it was nice to see that Retro mentioned that metallic liquid, like looking into increasing the, the availability of a metallic liquid is something they can look into. But what I really want the devs to know is that it's not that the players who are complaining, that they're not saying that there shouldn't be shattering or there shouldn't be risk versus reward. And I, as a player, understand the shatter mechanic and why it's there, and it's a way to get rid of some of the rares out of the world and database or whatever, to make it so that there's an item sink, at least something like that. Completely understand that. But what I think that the devs need to address is the fact that when shattering happens, it's so devastating that it makes people not want to play the game anymore. And that's something that I don't think that the game needs. You don't need these veteran priest players deciding to get rid of their accounts because they're so fed up with the shattering. So maybe there should be some little bit extra thought into this. I don't know what the solution should be, but maybe the devs can put their heads together and brainstorm some ideas on how to still have that risk, still have the item sink or something like that, but without the devastation that it feels when you get that shatter. Anyway, I want to hear what Brian's perspective on this is and what he thinks, because he's not a priest, so he might not even have that much of an opinion on it. But I'd like to hear what he has to say, and there's all sorts of other things about the priest update that we can discuss. And again, because Brian's not a priest, I don't know how much he's going to be interested in talking about this sort of stuff. So part of it is me wanting to make these videos to ramble about what I'm thinking about, so that I can talk about what is on my mind and what I'm feeling, and my response to some of these things that come to mind. And I think I might make a few more of these. If you guys enjoy them, let me know, and I'll continue them. And maybe we can even convince Brian to start doing some of these, do these car ride home videos where we talk about something about Wurm. Anyway, I think that's enough for me. I'm going to sign off now, and I will see you on the next stream. Keep on worming.